Hey guys, I've seen a lot of people making videos about making fire without matches, but most of them involve using ferrocerium rods, which are these special metal rods that you use to make sparks. And the biggest question I always bring up when I talk to people about it is, why would you use something like that rather than a lighter? I mean, you're using a modern material that you couldn't reproduce out in the woods anyway, so you might as well just use a regular lighter if you're at that point. Now, there's a lot of situations you might end up in where you lose your ferrocerium rod, or any number of things happen. You use it up, or someone steals it, or you just happen to not have it the day you need it. I'm going to show you guys how to make fire with shoestring and a knife. In this case, I'm actually using 550 paracord. It's essentially the same thing as a shoestring if you look at my shoes. I've done it with shoestring before, but I don't want to ruin my shoes. But chances are, if you're out in the woods or something, you're going to have shoestrings. And I actually, on my knife, I keep 550 paracord wrapped around the handle just in case. And this knife right here, it has a special container, so I can actually put 550 paracord in there. A big knife like this is always handy for chopping and splitting wood and things like that. And I actually did use that for this, just because I wanted to split the wood quickly. You can do it with a smaller knife like this. A small knife is always useful so that you can actually carry it in the city. This isn't legal in the city. It's legal out in the woods. Alright, I'm not going to bore you guys with a lot of the details of how you make these materials, but I'm going to show you what you have to make. And the essential elements are the bow. Because what we're doing is a bow drill fire. A bow with the cord attached to it. What's going to surprise you as you're working with this is that the bow shouldn't be very, very tight. In order to work correctly, it needs to be a little bit loose, and you have to kind of figure out the correct tension as you work with it. You'll find out really quickly, because the stick will fly out of your hands over and over and over again if it's too tight, and eventually it will loosen up as it stretches. Second thing you need is to make a shaft that's going to be used to make the fire itself. There's two ends, and you need to keep those separate. You sharpen it on both ends. On one end, you wipe this part up against your skin on some place, like usually around the edge of your nose. There's a lot of oil there. You make sure you don't do it on the burning end. You do it on the hand end, and you'll see what I mean in a second. The reason you do that is because this end right here, you want it to stay lubricated. You don't want to start a fire up here, because it's right up next to where you're actually going to be pushing down on it. This wood right here, it's best if it's a dry, light wood. In this case, it's pine. There's a lot of pine where I am. And the third item is the burning board, or I don't know if that's the technical term for it, but that's what I'm calling it. This one I've already used, and I'm going to use it to demonstrate it, because sometimes you'll end up going through a number of pieces of wood before you find a good piece of wood that'll actually work. The key is that it shouldn't be too dense. The actual burning board is best if it's not a hardwood. Doing it with oak can be very, very difficult. Woods that I find work well are pine and cedar, poplar, anything that's not really, really dense wood, because you want this part to be able to burn up and actually break apart the tiny pieces that turn into the sawdust, which forms the coal. The fourth element, if I'm counting right, is the hand board. And this is where you actually hold your hand as you're pushing down on the rod right here. And this one, it's best if it's a harder wood, if you can get it. If you can't, then just deal with what you got. If you only got pine, in this case I found an old piece of oak. And the reason I choose something like that is because I don't really want to start a fire with this piece. This piece is up against my hand like this, and you will find out really quickly if you get the wrong piece of wood, you'll actually start a fire on both ends, and it'll start hurting up here. You can actually burn yourself. I mean, usually you won't put yourself in any serious harm or anything like that, but and the last element is you need to have a nest of some form of really easily burning kindle. This is actually just cedar bark that I took and I rolled up back and forth in my hands until it became fibrous like this. And You can use a number of different substances. You can use cotton. Usually, in most places, there's something that you can find that can be broken down into a light fiber. Cedar or juniper is one of my favorite, but there's a number of substances that'll work. Anyway, so those are your starting materials, and it's pretty primitive stuff. I mean, you can, as long as you have a knife and a piece of string, you have a good starting point. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to actually build the fire. Alright, so basically you take the rod like this and you put it inside of your bow like that. Now the trick here is you want to try to get it as close to the center as possible for stability's sake, because if it's not in the center, what will happen is it'll get a little wobbly because you're going to have to put a lot of force on this and keep going really fast. So if it's not stable, as you'll probably see, it'll fly out and it can hit your fingers and it kind of hurts a little bit. It's not dangerous, but it's not pleasant either. Alright, so you start like that and you start slowly. Don't rush it at first. And try to keep a steady pressure. And notice how I'm using my leg here to brace against my arm. Or I'm bracing my arm against my leg. This arm right here needs to be as stable as possible because it's holding this thing. It needs to be as vertical as possible. And start. The sound is annoying, but you got to deal with that. See if that's enough there. Got a coal. And you wrap it. Darn it. Okay, cut. Oh no, it's actually good. Okay, zoom in. There you go. Fire.